Hello all. I hope my audio is clear. I saw in the last recording that my audio was very feeble, so I have made some adjustments and hopefully this time it will be better. I mean, I'm saying it was feeble because the ding ding sound from the participant's entry was much higher than my audio. What I mean is the computer audio was more than the mic audio. So this time I hope that's not the case. So a few people are still joining. We'll just
Good evening, sir.
thank you. Hi Sakshar. So I'll
Please start now only, sir.
yeah. I'll start now, and when I'll share my screen, I'll mute this tab. So if you ask me any doubts while I'm on the presentation, I'll not be able to hear. So please hold them for once I come back to this tab for discussions. Okay. So I'll start sharing my screen now. I hope you can see my screen. Yeah, so hello all, this is the third live session by me. Okay, just a minute. Before that, I just want to know how many of you also attend the Sunday session. You can just how many? So 2 of you attend. So I mean I'm not sure what problems he solved. So there might be some repetitions for you guys. Okay. So there will be some new things. There will be some repetitions because we hold it on multiple days to make it convenient for people. Okay, so like you might not be free on Tuesday or you might not be free on Sunday, so you can choose one of the 2 days and you can attend. So this thing, so I'm just telling you this for your information that there might be some repetitions. Yeah, both our styles might be different, but the content that we are covering, so some overlap might be there. So it's up to you. Okay. So now I'll let's not waste any more time. It's almost 6:10. Let's just start. So I hope you've all been doing your weekly assignments. So yeah, so this is the third live session by me, and today is also 15th August. So happy Independence Day to all. That's why I have kept the presentation theme as a flag. Okay. Anyway, So the topics that were covered in week 3, I'll just go through them briefly. Manipulating lists. So first, range function was there. I have not mentioned that. So list manipulations. So how we can, since lists are mutable functions, we have a lot of predefined functions in Python that we can use on lists to manipulate them, to add, to reverse, to remove an element, so many things. And then how we can break out of a loop without going through all the number of iterations. So for example, we have a for loop, and I am running it from I to n is some number, let's say 100. But if my goal has been reached before 100th iteration, I'll break out of it to save time. I don't want to waste my processor's capabilities on this. So I'll just break out of it, I'll save time, and I'll reach my answer anyway. I mean, since I've reached my answer already, and to see if the loop has run all the iterations or it has broken out in between, I can use else. So like there was an else for if, there is an else for. So if for loop has successfully completed all, so if my loop has successfully completed all the iterations, and it can also be for while loop. Okay, so while loop, if either the I can exit a while loop if either my condition becomes false, so that is a natural exit. Okay, that means the loop has completed, and if I add a break statement in between, that means unnaturally I am exiting the loop. Same for, so I have to add a break statement. That is why it is called breaking out of a loop. Okay, so I can write else and see, and so else, it will read else only if my loop has been exited naturally, okay, not if it has broken out of the loop. So that is one way to check if all the iteration, I mean how the exit from a loop is. Then we compared lists and arrays. So arrays are, so arrays basically they are like lists, but only like elements will be there. So if I have integers, only integers will be there, whereas in lists I can have a multitude of elements. I can have one integer, one smaller list within a list, one string, something. So that is up to me. Okay, and then we also saw some differences, like in arrays, indexing is quite fast, right? Indexing is quite fast because I can reach any element. So if I want to reach element number 5, I'll just write 5 and I'll get that. And if I want to reach element number 100, that takes the same speed, that takes the same amount of time, because so that is basically called indexing, and arrays are known for their fast indexing. But since because of this, if I want to insert or remove an element, so if I am inserting in the end, it's okay, but if I want to insert in the middle or the start, whatever elements are after that index, they will have to be moved. So a whole block of elements will have to be moved if I want to insert or remove an element. So that makes it quite expensive, okay, because I have to perform a moving operation on those many elements. But that is not the case with lists. In lists, it is, since the size is more flexible, I can expand or contract basically by only changing one link, the link of the next element. All I have to say that now this element is linked to this, and the one I am adding is linked to its previous element. So only 2 places have to be altered when I insert or remove something from a list. So that makes it not very expensive, but at the same time indexing is quite slow because it is linked. So if I want to go to element number 50, it will since it is linked, so 2 is linked to 1, 3 is linked to 2, like that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it has to pass through all 49 of them to reach 50. So, and yeah, so the time depends on the time to reach one element depends on the index of that element. Okay. So to reach the 100th element, it will take double the time when we try to reach element number 50, right. So next we saw binary search. So binary search, some of you may have in mathematics, you may have come across one method called bisection method. So in bisection method, what it's basically a root finding method. So in bisection method, what we do is we have a search space. So if I say that my root of my function, it lies between for example 1 and 2, so that will be my search space. I'll check if 1 and 2 are lying on the opposite side of the root, as in one of them has to give a positive output and one of them has to give a negative output. Okay, and then I'll keep halving my search space. Okay, so I'll check if 0.5 is an answer or not. If yes, I'm done. If no, I'll change my search space to either 1 to half or half to 2, depending on the output that 0.5 gives me, like positive or negative. Okay, not the value, just the sign. So bisection method works in a way like that. So binary search works in a way like that. So binary search works well if my array or list is already sorted. So yeah, one more thing about lists and arrays, Python when it defines a list, it has the advantages of both. So it can be indexed quickly like arrays, and it can be, and even insertion and removal is not very expensive like lists. So that is one big advantage with Python. So yeah, binary search, it works very well if my list is already sorted. So sorted is either I'm sorting my list, I'm sorting. So sorting can be, that term can be used when I have like elements. So for arrays, so only integers are there, let's say. So I'll sort in a way that it's either in increasing order or decreasing order. I mean, I can have it my way here. So if it is already sorted, binary search is very useful. So I'll start with my ends. So first element I'll hit is the middle. If I'll compare that and I'll say that if it matches my, if it matches what I want. So searching is, I'm searching if some element X is present in my list or not. So I'll first check the midpoint. I mean, it might not have an actual middle. So if I have 5 elements, I can't have a 2.5. I mean it can, I have to check either second or third element. Okay, so I'll check that if it matches, well and good. If it doesn't match, I'll see if it is bigger than that or smaller than that, and I'll go to my left or right depending on whether my list is in ascending order or descending order, right. So ascending order or descending order, and based on that I'll have my new search space, middle to end or start to middle, and I'll have that, I'll go to the midpoint of that and I'll compare, and similarly I can, I mean if I keep having whatever, I mean if I keep going to the middle, at some point there will not be any middle. So when that happens, that means my number is not present in the list, or if there is a match, I'll return where it is. I mean I'll return the position in the list of where the number is present. Okay. Then we went to sorting. So sorting, we saw about selection sort and insertion sort, and how they have an order of n square, their speed. So speed or efficiency, however we put it. So and then recursion of functions was there. So when a function calls itself, it's recursion. So yeah, that is all for the recap. So let's go to solve some problems. So now to keep your minds running, I'll give you a problem. So first I'll explain what you have to do, then I'll give you some time. Okay, I'll start a timer. So while I'm explaining, you please note it down. Okay, or maybe I'll just keep the screen on and you can see that. So I hope you all are with me. I'll just a minute. Yeah. Yeah, so I hope you all got the quick recap. So now let's go to problems. Okay. So if you have any doubts from week 3, we'll see that later. So first I'll share my screen again, and yeah. So this is the first problem for the day. Okay. I want to write a function, okay, and it takes in a list of integers, numbers, whatever. Let's just say a list of positive integers, okay, and I want to see if it is expanding or not. So expanding is when the difference between the consecutive numbers is increasing. So I have a function, let's say it is a function, okay, so x sine square x. So how will that function look? It will the peaks will keep on increasing, and the difference in height between second and first peak will be more than the x square mod sine x. Okay, so difference in the peak in the heights of my second and first peak will be less than the height difference of peaks of my third and second peak. Okay, so difference will keep on increasing. So I have named this function expand, so you can call it expanding, or I mean it's up to you, whatever name you have to write when you define a function. So for example, my first example is this 1, 3, 6 and 11. Difference between 3 and 1 is how much? It is 2. 6 and 3 is 3, 11 and 6 is 5. So 3 is more than 2 and 5 is more than 3. That means it's true. That means it is expanding. Okay, expanding, or you can also call it exploding. Okay, that is one more term when uncontrollably something keeps on increasing, okay, some value. So that is one thing. Second example, 1, 4, 12, 1 and 14. Okay, so this will tell you that difference need not be 3 minus 1. Difference can also be 1 minus 3. Okay, so it is basically the change. So I am changing by 3. So here I am changing by 2, I am changing by 3, I am changing by 5. It's not increase or decrease, so it is just a positive difference. So I am changing by 3, I am changing by 8, I am changing by 11. Now I am changing by 13. So it is also true. Okay. So difference, just keep in mind it's a change here. Okay, it's the absolute difference. Then third example, just to mention something false, here it is 20, here is 20, then mine is 1. So since 1 is less than 20, false. And what happens if my list is not all numbers? So I have one list called 23, then the string list, then 34, then 456. So I'll output, please input a list of integers, or some error message that you have to tell the user. Okay, so that he knows that his input itself is wrong. So, and it can't compile. It can't not compile. It can't read the code further, and it will just terminate there itself. So since it's a relatively easy function, I'll give you 8 minutes, okay. So just a minute. Okay, so I will start this. 8 minutes, okay. So screen is open, so you can read this, okay. Screen will be there for 2 minutes, and then I'll come back to the meeting. I'll close the presentation, and then if you have any doubts with the question, okay, not with the solution, with the question, then that you can ask. If no, you can just start doing, okay. So these 2 minutes, 1 plus 1, is for you to just read and understand the question. You can note it down somewhere if it is helpful. So the noting down time is up. I'll start the clock. Example 3 and 4. Just a minute. Praveen. Praveen, example 3 and 4. So in example 3, the difference, I hope you have noted it down, because yeah. So in example 3, the difference between second and first element. First element was 22. First element was 2. Second element is 22. So difference between them is 20. Okay, so that is the first difference. I'll come to that, Ayla. And then third number was 23. Okay, so difference between 23 and 22 is 1. So 1 is less than 20. So that means it's false. And in fourth example, the input itself was not valid. I inserted a string in the list, whereas I had to only insert integers. So since it said it's not valid, it will not. It returned a number that it says no, not valid. So please input a valid list of integers. And for the second doubt, Ayla Kaushik. So I said difference means change here. So change. So in that 1 was there, right? So I had 1, 4, 12 and 1. So 1 to 4 is 3. 4 to 12 is 8. 12 to 1 is 11. Okay. So that's what I said. It doesn't have to be 1 minus 12. It can also be 12 minus 1. So I am seeing the absolute change. Okay. Its magnitude. Okay, I am not seeing if it is increasing difference. Yes. Yeah. So I am not saying if it is if the numbers have to strictly increase. No, only the difference has to increase, and difference is absolute. Okay, A minus B, B minus A. So it is magnitude. So only see the positive difference. Okay. So if yeah, and after 123 was there. No, wait. After 114 was there. So the okay. Yes, Praveen. The difference must be expanding, not the integer. See, integers, you might think since difference is expanding, integers will expand by default. Okay, so, or give me a minute. Please don't see, this is for a practice, so don't write the function or the code in the chat. Okay, see, then we know that you can do it, but the people who have to try it by themselves, you're stealing it from them. So it is for their practice as well, right? So let them try, then you write on the chat. So I'll just one small example I'll share. So you can see that this, I have one function x square mod sin x by 10, right? So just look at the peaks here. So first peak is here, second peak is here, third peak is here. So difference between first peak and 0th peak is 2 point something. Then I go to a higher peak. Then I go to a higher peak. So difference between the peaks is increasing. Whereas if I have something like x sin x, so I'm here, then I go up, then I come down. So even this is a difference. Okay, so this difference is more than this difference, and so it's just a crude way to say that it is exploding or expanding. So yeah. So so some people have joined the meeting right now. So for the people who have joined the meeting right now, I'll share my screen for a minute so that they can know what we are trying to do. So we have this task, and one minute is left to solve. So I have to write I have to define a function to check if my list of integers, list of numbers is expanding or not. That means the difference between the two numbers, between the two consecutive numbers is getting higher or not. Okay, so if it is getting higher, that means my list is expanding or exploding. So I'll have to return true. Okay. So Sakshar, I'll come to you in 30 seconds because, yeah, just wait. No, you can keep your hand raised if you want, or, I mean, yeah. So, yeah, let's, yeah, Sakshar, please, your doubt.
Sir, good evening. Happy Independence Day.
Yeah,
Sir, I had
happy.
a question. Sir, in that fourth example, sir, you wrote bracket list. Sir, in that fourth example, sir, in that, sir, do you want to say that I can add a list also inside that? Is list inside list? So, or sir, is it just an example statement?
It is just an example statement. So,
Okay,
see,
sir.
see, I can have a list, right? If my element is
Yes.
not a single integer, that means my input is not valid, is what I want to say. Okay, so I'll say if, see, since there is a string inside, okay, so I can make this list. Even this will not be valid. I mean, if it was let's say 22, okay, yeah, and then open bracket. So there is a sub list in the list, okay, so this is also not valid. Yeah, I can update my code saying that if there is a sub list and if that has integers, extract the value, replace that list with that number, and then you do that. So that is that you can try yourself. So that's actually a very nice nice upgradation through the code. Okay, so if
Yes,
I,
sir.
yeah, if I have a mini list that also has only numbers, so I'll want to consider that as well. Okay, and yeah, that, and that mini list I can remove and I can append to my actual list, and then then the new list I will check if my the condition is met or not, and then I will return true, false, or invalid. Okay, so so some people have definitely done this because one person has wrote a code for the same. Return false, return true. Okay, I don't. So in this, this is still missing. What if it has a string? So open queue. So someone called Anos has a doubt. Yeah, please ask.
Sir, I am facing doubt about how to identify it's a string in a list or not, or other type other than list. Sorry, int.
Okay, I will write the code for you now, and you will get what I mean by that. Okay, so just wait for 2 more minutes. I'll explain other doubts. So when we'll come to that part in a couple of minutes. I'll write the code in front of you, and while I do that, I'll also explain what is going on. Okay, so just keep your seat belts fastened, and could you tell again about the code upgradation in example 4? Okay, so this is not what you have to do now. I'm just saying if inside my list I encounter a sublist. Okay, so like a list can have so inside a list I can have integers, floating point values, strings, and sublists also, smaller lists. Okay, So if that sublist has only integers inside, I can remove those from that, append it to my list, and then I can check it. Okay, then I can check the same thing. I can have a new list and I can check that. So that is so that is not what we are trying to do here, but that's an exercise that you can try for yourself. Okay, so now let's go to the.
Sir, in that exercise, sir, I had a question. Sir, can we use that map function to convert everything into int and then we can check the list elements one by one? So is it valid?
Which function?
Sir, in this, sir, I was referring to, sir, that case, sir. For example, there is a list within a list, sir, and then we have to find whether this list is expanding or not, means including that sub list. Then, sir, can I use the map function to convert all the elements into int and then I can check the elements one after the other? So is it a legal approach?
Yeah, sure. You can try doing that.
Yes, sir. Sir, I would love to know about more approaches, sir.
Yeah,
Of that.
yeah, sure. So now let's just go to how we can write this. So I'll just, okay, I can't open this. Give me a minute. Yeah, I hope you can see my collab window. So yeah, so let's just define the function. So I called it expand, right? Def. So was it expand, I don't care. I mean, it's the name is up to me. So the input I'll call that as a, let's say y, or L is also fine because L is what you are more used to. But yeah, I'll write y to just show that I can use whatever I want. Okay, so this just need a minute. Yeah. So y is my input list. So now it doesn't know that it is a list, but based on the operations I perform on it, it will become a, I mean it will say that it is a list or not. And I'll define a function here, sorry, variable here diff, and I'll start with the value 0. Okay, so because the difference between so list starts with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the difference between the 0th element and the element before that, let's just call it 0. Okay, because whatever difference we have, it will be either 0 or more than 0 after that. So I'll just initialize its 0th element to be 0. Then I'll now have to check if it is a if all the elements are integers or not. So I'll take some variable j and I'll scan the range through the length. Okay, so I'll scan it through its length and I'll say if, so week 2 there was some, you came across one function called type. So type returns the type of the variable, okay, whether it is an integer, a string, list, float, whatever. So type, I'll check each element. So and if it is not, so since I can't keep checking if it is a string, if it is a float, if it is a list, but I can check if it is not an int. So I'll just write not. So this is called logical not. Okay, so this is when I want to check if two values are equal, I'll do double equal to. Okay, when I want not equal to, I'll do this. So it is called a logical not. Okay, int. So if it is not an int, I'll just return. So return will just exit from the function. Okay, please enter a valid list with integers. Easy. Okay, so the beauty of this is I don't have to scan the entire list. So if even my first or second element is a string or not an int, I'll just exit. Okay, so that is the beauty of using if here. So now I'll go back, I'll exit this for. Okay, so this is one space. So yeah, like I said, indenting is very important, else it will not read the code well. So, or I can reuse j here, by the way. So just for the sake of it, I will reuse j. So when I write this, when I write for j in range, so j will come back to 0. Okay, so I'll write 0. So when I use j in a for loop like this again, here it had reached the end. So actual length of y minus 1. Okay, that was the value here. So now after when I use it here again like this, it will go back to 0. So when I don't write 0 comma, it by default it means that it is starting from 0. Okay, so just keep that in mind, and I'll also explain why I wrote minus 1 here. The next line will actually make it clear why I wrote minus 1 here. This why my range is stopping at length of y minus 1, so it's actually minus 2. So since I have defined it as a list with the first element as 0, I can use the append function in Python. So what is going on here? I am saying y of this is j, sorry, j plus first element minus jth element. Okay, so that this j plus 1 is the reason I took length of y, I mean minus 1, because once I'll reach the end, there will be nothing to use later. Okay, and so if I start from 0, I just have to go to n minus 2, not n minus 1, because it will go to 0 to n minus 1 normally. So I can stop at n minus 2 because n minus 2 will incorporate n minus 1, which is j plus 1, and also n minus 2. Okay, so I've taken absolute value. This is the function for modulus, magnitude, whatever. It's called ABS, absolute value. Okay, so minus 1 abs will be 1. That's what it will just convert negative to positive. So just keep that in mind, and then now I can write my actual code to check if it is expanding or not. Okay, I'm just storing the absolute values of the differences in my diff list. Okay, the list is called diff. I am appending to it. Okay, so please keep that in mind. So I have one very bad habit of not putting a colon here, but so first pass it will not run, then it will say that you have to add colons here. So I'll add, then it will run again. So yeah, please excuse me for that. So this is my first exit condition. Okay, it's not valid. Second exit condition is here. If the next difference, if one difference is less than the previous difference, that means it should return false, right? So if this if condition has not been met, that means if this if condition has not been met, that means everything has gone well, the differences or the changes have been increasing, so that means I can just return true. Okay, that's all. So let me just check if any syntax error is there. So when you run a code first time, most of the softwares, it will take some time, but if you keep running the same code, your computer will get familiarized with the code, and next time you run it, it will be faster. Okay, so yeah, but if I close the tab and open the tab again, it will try to re-familiarize, so same slow speed will come. Okay, so that's the case with many softwares, even MATLAB. So if you are writing a very long code, first time you run that code, it will be somewhat slow, then it will become faster. So that's how familiarization works. Okay, so I'll just let's just see what is this. I'll define a list L1. Just copy the list from here. Okay, so now you can't see my screen, I can see my screen, so I'll just copy this. Okay. Okay, so I am not able to copy for some reason. 1, 3, 6, 11. I'll use this expand on L. I'll run this. What error is there? The name L is not, oh sorry, L1. True. Okay, instead of 11, say I have a string, some string. Please enter a valid list with integers. Okay, and to see if it doesn't, even this one is true. Why? Because 2, 3, 5, 7. Okay, so it's like I am giving prime numbers. So now let's check. This is false because 2, 3 and then 1. So it will just stop here. Whenever this condition is met, wherever, it will just stop and exit. Okay, so it will ignore the rest of the list. Okay, so this is it. Now, do you have any doubts in the code? Please, I'm terribly sorry. Give me a minute. When did you write? 6:42, it's 6:52 already. No doubts. Yeah. Now I hope the size is big enough. So yeah, I'll stop sharing again. Please show the code once again. Okay, so the code is here. Read the code carefully, and I explained every line while I was so let me just make it more neat. Say initial. Yeah, please. Anos. Yeah, Anos. No doubt. Oh, wait, please wait 1 minute. Yeah, now go on.
Sir, it is necessary to check the difference between two consecutive elements.
Yeah, that is how you. Okay, someone else's mic is on there. Huh. Okay, so that is how you basically know that that is what you have to do in this. I mean, you have to check the difference between two numbers, two consecutive numbers, and compare it with the previous difference. And if it is higher than it, then you can carry on and check the next two sets. So that is the goal of my function, right? How to create a list inside a list? You can just write a list inside a list. I think after fifth line, break statement may be applicable. Fifth line, okay, we'll just yeah. So break statement may be applicable after fifth line. Which is fifth line? See, I have written return, okay. So whenever in my function definition, whenever it encounters return, it will exit the function. Break statement and all is to exit a loop, okay. If for or while loop, it is to exit a loop. Yeah, return acts as break in the function. Yes, a function, a function doesn't need to return anything, but once it returns something, it will say okay, I am done, and it will not read the further, my interpreter will not read the further lines or statements. Yeah, Praveen Gupta, I can't, if you're new to the course starting after 2 weeks, yeah, you can, I mean, if you have some basic coding knowledge, then you just learn the syntax and get to know the differences in Python and the language you know already within the code we shared. So all these videos, so this whole interaction, it is being recorded and I'll upload this on YouTube. So and this presentation is not useful for you because the presentation only has the question. So this interaction is being recorded, so I'll just upload this on YouTube and you can pause the screen then, and then you can just write the code. But I urge you to try to do this yourself once, okay. So, okay. So yeah, let's go to the second question. So what did we learn from the first question? We so list can need not be increasing for the differences to be increasing, okay, and usage of type function is here. So we use the type, right? So usage of type function, and to check so type function, and yeah, I think that's all. And what else? Return means to exit a function regardless of position. So if there are 100 lines after return, and if return has been reached, I mean if before the return, if there is a condition if for something, if that is true, I have reached return, it will ignore all the lines after it, okay. That is why I wrote regardless of the position, right. So let's go to the next one. So Python function needs to be defined. So first, yeah, same like last one, it takes a list of integers and it will check if it is positive or negative, okay, and then it will return the sum of cubes of the positive ones and the product of the negative ones, and here we will consider 0 to be positive. So so it's basically non-negative and negative, okay. So instead of positive, non-negative, since I also have 0, right. Okay, returns the sum of cubes of the non-negative ones and the product of the negative ones, okay. So so example, so I have just called it positive negative split, P&DSA split, it's up to you what you want to call it. So my list is 1, 5, minus 3, so 1 and 3 are positive, okay. So yeah, so I have to check number of non-negative numbers and this thing as well, right. So I'll return two things here, I'll return two lists, so 2 comma 1 and this, okay. 2 comma 1 means 2 positive 1 negative, right. 2 positive ones are there and 1 negative number is there. So 3 cube is 27, 1 cube is 1, sum of cubes, so 1 plus 27 is 28, only 1 negative number is there, minus 5, so yeah, I just wrote minus 5. Check this, 1 minus 3 minus 6 4 minus 2. So first check the positive numbers, okay. So this is 2 comma 3, right, 2 positive and 3 negative. So here yeah, even here you can copy paste that one line, like if it is not an integer then display a message which says error, so it's up to you, you can do that. So you can just, so I'm exiting two kinds of lists. So one is saying the number of positive and the number of negative entities. So I have 1 and 4 that are positive, minus 3 minus 6 and minus 2 that are negative. So 1 cube plus 4 cube is 65, 4 cube is 64, okay. So 1 cube plus 4 cube is 65 and product of all the negative numbers, not cube, simply the product. So minus 3 into minus 6 into minus 2, which is minus 36. It is slightly off color. No color is helping. Okay, minus 36. It's minus 36. I'll Okay, I hope this is more visible. So it's a relatively easy question, so I will not give you 12 minutes. Even for this you have 8 minutes. So first, I mean not first 2 minutes, 2 minutes for just writing down the question. I'll start. Okay. Writing down as in some people they just have to see and they know what to do, but for people who, I mean for some they might need to write it down, and there is nothing wrong with that. Okay. So you have read, actually it is 7:09 now. Since most of you have been here for 1 hour, I will give you 11 minutes so that if you are done you can also take a 2 minutes break, or you can, I mean it will be good, I think. So 11 minutes you have to solve this. So its clock is ticking. You can just can I get your class recorded video in Tamil? So someone will have to. Arul, as you can see, I am taking this session in English. So I think you can get Tamil subtitles. So our video is uploaded in problem solving session 2023. So see, I have uploaded it on my channel, and the videos link you will get. Okay, so and Harsh, so NPTEL has to share that link to you. So I mean, if they have called problem solving, if they have called it problem solving session 2023, then I think yeah, that is the uh, folder. So you have access to both the videos and the presentations I show. So one drive link is will also be shared with you. I mean, it has been shared with you, and in that I'll keep updating my presentations. So yeah, okay. So share channel link. Have you? You have registered for the course, right? I mean, you must have gotten the meeting of this link somehow. So the same people will give you the channel link as well. So it will be there. Just find it. And the videos for now you can only watch if you have the link of the video. So if you go to my channel, the video will not be visible. I have kept the privacy like that for now. I'll in a day or two I'll change it to open, so whosoever visits my channel, they can see the. Okay. So yeah, some people have already completed the problem, but since you've been sitting for more than an hour, so I mean, I'd recommend you to stand up, walk 20 meters here and there, and I mean, relax your joints. So, so this 11 minutes is to solve it and for you guys to take a short break. Okay. on YouTube. So yeah, I think time's up. So now we'll discuss the problem. So yeah, if you want to learn the basics of this, you should. I mean, it is. We think it is expected of you to watch the week's videos and come to the class. So yeah, please watch the videos that are there on NPTEL website, and you can also find them on YouTube. So, okay, so the program is called it's called Programming Data Structures and Algorithms Using Python. Okay, so please look for that, and if you want to learn the basics better, watch that. And it is expected of you that you will watch that and come to the interaction session. I mean, that way you will be able to understand what we are discussing better, right? So yeah, let's not so yeah, how many of you were able to do it? Can you please raise your hands? Okay, so quite a few of you have done that. Okay, so there is I mean, it's just like the previous problem. It's quite a basic problem, so you have to sort it, not sort it, you don't have to sort it, you have to see which is positive, which is negative, store them in two separate lists, and then just take the product of the elements, that's all. Okay, so I'll still I'll still write a small code. Okay. Okay, so def, what was my function called? It will take the input as a list, okay, and as usual I will have to, so yeah, so it has taken the input as a list, and I'll first see if the numbers are positive or negative. So I also have to okay, wait. So I'm assuming that the list has 0 positive numbers and 0 negative numbers in the beginning. Okay, so that is why I have initialized p and n to be 0. So now I'll traverse the list for I in range okay. So I'm traversing the list. So and so now I'll see if the what is that called, and I'll also write variable called psum and nsum, nprod. I have initialized or defined these as 0 first. So what I'll have to, what I'll do now is I am scanning the list now. So if I encounter a number that is not negative, okay, not negative means more than or equal to 0. So I'll say L I more than or equal to 0, then it is non-negative, right? So I'll add it to my positive one. So I'll write p plus equal to 1. So this basically means, so this base p equals p plus 1. Okay, I can also write this as p plus equal to 1. Okay, So it is just a way to write that. Alright, P sum equals P sum plus this thing, right. If it is positive, then I will take the sum of the cubes. Okay, so Li. So you know that for exponent you can use this, but sometimes your keyboard, or if you are writing it somewhere else, it might not have this symbol, this exponent symbol. So one more way to write that is this star. So star is product. So if I write it twice, it means exponent. Okay, so 1 star is product, 2 stars is exponent. Just like we saw in division, 1 slash will give you the it will just purely divide, right. It will mostly give you some float answer, some answer which has some fractional answer. But if I write 2 slashes, that will give me the quotient. So it is called integer division. So this is exponent. Okay, 2 stars means exponent. So this is getting stored here. Okay, each time I hit a positive number, this will increase, this count will increase, and this it will store, this count will also increase. Okay, so if I hit 1, I'll my P sum has now become P sum plus 1. So P sum was 0, so now it is 1. Then I'll write else. Okay, so else and if have to be aligned. Just make sure of that, 2 spaces, 2 spaces. Okay, so and since it's, I'll do negative. So if it is non-negative, then it is positive, right. So and then I'll write nprod equals nprod. Yeah, so one thing here, I can't initialize this as 0. Why? Because something multiplied by 0 will be 0. So I'll just initialize this as 1. Okay, so when I add 0 to something, it will not make any difference, and when I multiply 1 with something, it will not change the value. So you know, this multiplicative identity and all is there, additive identity. This you may have learnt in like basic maths in 6th, 7th, 8th, or I am not sure when. So that is why I'll start with 1 instead of 0, since I am multiplying. Okay, so I'll keep on multiplying here since I want product. So that is all. I'll exit the else. I'll also exit the for. So now I'll make sure that once. So one convenience with this is I can see, I can check the space here. Okay, I hope you can see this dot here. Here you will see more dots, 3 dots. Okay, def is leftmost. Everything else has been moved by 1 space. So space is a dot here, and for. So since if is within for 2 spots, since these 2 lie within if 3 spots. Okay, so this is just a convenience. And yeah, you must have seen that I wrote a lot of comments here. So that is just to in the previous function. So this is for if you want to come back to, if you want to revisit your codes again, then each and every line you will not have to think that what does it do, what is going on. It will just, you will just have written it here and you will say okay, fine, that's what is happening. Okay, so this is the, why is it showing so many warnings? Okay, so yeah, even here, if, see, I forgot again. So this is done. So now I will create one list, let's say P&D list equals P comma N, first output, second output is required output, required list, is P sum comma N prod. Okay, I'll return okay, I can write something like number of positive integers is comma P and the number N within a function, so it is exceeding. I will just sorry, I'll use print instead of return. Return invalid syntax. Okay, oh my god. So this syntax is correct. So now let's just check if it works or not. Okay, I'll just define my list as, let me define the same, let me take the, okay, I'll just, no. Okay, let's just run this and see. Right, so it says number of non-negative integers is 2, 1 and 5. Number of positive integers is, sorry, number of negative integers is 3, and so minus 23, minus 4 and minus 2, and 1 plus 125 is 126, 23 into 8 is minus 184. Okay, so any doubts in this? So is the code clear?
No, sir, no doubt.
Okay, fine. So yeah, let's go to the final problem for the day. This might be slightly more challenging than what we did till now. So let me just go share the screen. Right, so no takeaways here, it's quite a basic one. So yeah, let's do this. So flip a matrix as required, horizontally or vertically. So I'll just look at me. Okay, wait. Yeah, look at me. Look at my camera. This is one matrix. Flipping, it's too big. Sorry. Matrix is this. Flipping it horizontally will mean like this. Okay. Vertically would mean like this. Okay. So I'll explain it. So I hope you all know what a matrix is, because it's a quite diverse group. So if someone does not know what a matrix is, please give a thumbs up. Else I'll just assume that you all know what a matrix is. Okay. So you all know what a matrix is. Can you give an example of a sample matrix? Yeah, so I'll come to that. So I'll come to giving example of a matrix while I explain the question. So I hope you can see my screen. So matrix is a list of numbers. I mean, yeah, it's basically a list of numbers, and it will have rows and columns. Okay. So for example, I'll just write a matrix here. So you can have one. Okay. So basically this same thing, if 1, 2, 3 was my first row, 4, 5, 6 was my second row, and 7, 8, 9 was my third row. This is what I would call a matrix. So I can say that I have 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay. Wait, I'll modify the question. Square matrix. Okay. So I have 3 rows and 3 columns. Okay. So that is my that is what I'm given with. So matrix is a block of numbers. Okay. So I can matrix this example is a square matrix because the number of rows and columns are equal. If they are not equal, it is still a matrix, but it will not be a square matrix. So I have 3 rows and 3 columns. My first row has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Second row has 4, 5, 6. Third row has 7, 8, 9. So I have a list which I am representing as a matrix. Okay. So the list I have here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Right. So as you can see, I have 3 sublists. So each sublist represents a row. Okay. So each sublist represents a row. So if I flip it horizontally, right? So if I flip it horizontally, flip as in, let's say it's not flip, it's a mirror. So flipping horizontally means I have a mirror on the vertical axis. So if I have so my first row will become will yield my first row will become 3, 2, 1, right? Horizontal flip, wait. My first row will yield 3, 2, 1, second will be 6, 5, 4, and third will be 9, 8, 7. So it is basically I have the matrix with 3 rows and 3 columns, and I am keeping a mirror on the at the end, right? I'm taking a mirror image where the mirror is kept vertically. Okay, so 1 2 3 will become 3 2 1, and the order of the rows has not changed. Okay, that still remains the same. So vertical flipping so if I want to flip it vertically, that means my mirror is at the bottom or the top. I mean, it's up to me. So the rows will remain intact and the order of the rows will change. So here in horizontal flipping, rows were still intact, but the sequence within each row has changed. That means the columns have changed their position. So column 1 is now column 3, column 3 is now column 1, 2 is 2. So if I had more, so if I had 4 rows and 4 columns, column 1 has become column 4, column 2 has become column 3. I mean, they have swapped. Okay, so that is horizontal flipping. In vertical flipping, the same thing will happen with rows. Okay, so vertical flipping of this will yield, first will be 7 8 9, then I will have 4 5 6, then 1 2 3. Okay, so if I vertically flip this, the rows will remain intact. I mean, yeah, the order of the rows will change. So from 1 2 3 it has become 3 2 1, as in the row number. So first row is now at the third place, second row is where it is, and third row is now at the first place. Okay, but the rows themselves have not changed. So I have to write a code. So my, let's say my function is called mat flip. Okay, example, I have to write mat flip, which takes in two inputs. One is the list, so which is this matrix, and let's say sign S. Okay, sign or direction D. So this D is a string, okay, of one letter which is either H or V. So D, so H means flip horizontally, and V means to flip vertically. Okay, that's all. And this is the input L, the whole matrix. So I can also write some function called I can have some thing called, I can have one output called, if I have defined L, I can have mat flip L comma H, then comma D comma V, sorry. So what does this mean? I have taken this list L, this matrix L, I have flipped this once horizontally, then that flipped list I am flipping it vertically. Okay, so that is what I want to do. So I will give you how much time will you need for this? So 10 minutes should be enough, I guess. We'll start the timer, and if you have any, just look at the question once. I have explained what flipping means, so you try it out on your own, and then once 10 minutes are done, I'll show you how it is done. Do you have any? Can you show the previous code? Okay, I think so when I'm presenting, I can't look at the chats. So like I said, this video will be on YouTube. You will get the link from NPTEL. So they will share the link with you. You can pause your video there and just access the code. Okay. Or if you want, I'll also copy the code and put them in the presentation and upload it through the drive. Okay. So so any doubts with the current question, matrix flipping?
Sir, I'm trying to find out the solution.
Yeah, fine, just do it. I mean, I told you what to do, so just write a code and try to execute it. If it works, then can we modify the list in place, or we should declare? It's up to you. It's up to you. Whatever. I mean, see, whatever you do, I don't care. The output should be that flipped list. Last line, could you explain again? Last line of the code or of the question, can you please elucidate? Question, okay. Oh, okay, so I have one matrix, one list. I use that function on it. Okay, I flipped it horizontally, right? So now I have a new matrix that I am using it as an input to the same function and flipping that vertically now. Okay, so so you can nest it, right? Wait, so wait, I'll just share my screen again and give you a better perspective. Yeah, this is there, right? So I can write it as mat1 equals, so I am storing the value as mat1, okay, mat flip L comma H, and then next line I am doing mat2 equals same function mat flip mat1. So mat1 is now still a list or a matrix, okay, comma v. So this basically means that, okay, this means that. So this output of a function is still our output is still this thing, right, this list. So this is the expanded version of this, and I have had to define two variables here. Yeah, I will have to store it in some list in the when I am defining the function, and I'll have to return the list as well. So yeah. Okay, cool. I think 5 more minutes are left. 4.5 minutes. 4.5 minutes are left. Okay. last 30 seconds. So while that time is left, the people who have done it, you can raise your hands. I just want to share what your thought is. I mean, how you have just raise your hands in the so that I can see. I mean, this hand raise option is there. Control Alt H. Yeah. So Aditya Satvik, can you? So what was your approach? Can you share with the class? I think now even this is done. Yeah. Can you share? I mean, what you did, your logic behind it.
Sir, am I audible?
Yeah.
Sir, actually, first of all, you defined a base condition for both H and V. Like the first thing I did, I partitioned the matrix into two pieces, sir.
Okay.
So if my length is a positive, like I mean even length, then I will only check up to the first two indexes. I mean the 0 and the 1 index, and I swap accordingly. So I can I can reduce the number of iterations I can take. So depending on whether it's an horizontal or vertical flip, I will reduce the number of iterations on either the row index or the column index.
Oh.
So I hope that was
Yeah. That is
clear
fine.
approach.
Yeah. That's one way, but I thought you would use the. So did you try to use the inbuilt functions in Python? I mean, there is one reverse function in Python.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good. So I'll just start with the code. I mean, now it's almost 8. So I'll just quickly write the code. Then I'll tell you a way how to shorten the code. Okay. I mean, I'll just tell you a way and I'll leave it to you to implement it. Okay. So yeah, I hope you can see my screen. So I'll call my function matflip. Input is my list, or I'll just call it matrix, and direction. Okay. So I'll for output I will just define one output. I mean list. Sorry, matrix output. I'll just define this as an empty list. Okay. So now for you can use to scan a number or elements of a list or a string. Okay. So if I write for like this, row in M. Okay. It's so M is basically a list. So I'll go one by one. So instead of going through the index, I'll go directly to the elements of the row. So row is scanning the matrix, not the index. It's actually the elements of the matrix. Okay, that is one way you can use for. You can do the same thing if it is a string. Okay, so I'll append it so I hope you know what colon means. Colon means all. Okay, so all rows, all columns, like that. It is up to you to figure out which row, which column. Sorry, if it is rows or columns. Okay, so now condition for horizontal flip. So if D, if my direction is H, right? So it's a string, single character string. If that's the case, one more for loop here. This is slightly annoying. Yeah. one more for loop will be this thing for row in this matrix. Okay, so I am reusing row, like I said, I can reuse this, so I will just reuse this and I will scan this. So there is one, I just reverse the row. Okay, so inside the list, that that row, as in row is one element of the list basically. So since each element itself is a sub list, that I am reversing. So 1 2 3 has now become 3 2 1. That's all I am doing here. Okay, so this has happened for so now I'll have to match if elif d is v. Okay, then I'll write so if this is the case, then I think there is not much issue, because I can just directly reverse the whole matrix. Then I'll just return this. Okay, so yeah, you'll think now what happens if d is something else. So I'll just write else and I'll just, okay, so this syntax, just keep in mind that syntax is very important. Else return, I'll just write false here. Okay, false means it's saying that your input is not valid. Okay, so code is this. I'll try to see if any syntax issues are there. Yes, it's here. Okay, everything is fine. So now let's try to input something. So our staple input is just, I have defined it as matplit instead of matflip. So so my mat1 is usual 1 2 3 then 4 5 6, right, then 7 8 9. Okay, usual matrix. I'll use matplit here. I accidentally, I can change the name here. I'll just write flip here. Okay, so matflip. So let's try to reverse it. I mean, let's try to flip it horizontally. So mat1 comma h, right, run it, and as you can see, the rows have been flipped. Okay, so 1 2 3 is now 3 2 1, 4 5 6 is 7. Okay, what if I do the same thing with v? I'll run it again. So this row has come to the first, and this has gone to the last. I'll add one more row for for fun. Okay, do the same thing. I'll run it. Okay, sorry. So I have to separate it with a comma. Yeah. So now row 1 is now at last, and row 4 is at first, and 2 and 3 have also swapped their positions. Yeah, one more thing. So let's try dummy flip. Okay. So first I am flipping this vertically, then horizontally. Okay, so when I flip this vertically, the rows will interchange, and when I do horizontally, within the rows they will swap. So now this row has come to the first, and it has flipped internally as well. So 34 45 76 has become 76 45 and 34. Okay, So that is the code, and if you, yeah, so one, so you can also add one condition to check if it is a square matrix or not. So for that you just have to see that if the uh, length of the list and length of the sublists are same. Okay, so that is to check if it is a square matrix or not. So number of sublist is basically the length of the list, so which is the number of rows, and length of the list is number of, and length of one sublist is number of columns. Okay, so you can also check if it is a square matrix or not. And yeah, so one more, so one hint, I'll not be implementing that, but it is for you, so just look at this carefully. Okay, so what happens if I write something like this? Instead of doing mat flip, I'll just write mat 2 equals mat 1. Okay, and I'll run it. Sorry. So now it has flipped it vertically, right? All the rows have been interchanged, and now to flip it horizontally, what will I do? I'll just yeah, so you have to implement this inside the function. Okay, so sorry. So now this has flipped it horizontally. Okay, so this thing is to flip one list. Okay, so to this basically -1 means I'm counting from the back. So here I had to manually write it 4 times, but when you write it in the function, it is your task to implement it. Okay, so do you have any doubts? Anyone with the code? I mean the code. The basic definition is here, the function definition. Okay, no doubts. I think it is time. So
Sir,
yeah.
sir, I want to ask a question about my codes just I designed, in which uh, I want to add something that I don't know how to add.
What do you want to add in your code?
Sir, I want to add a new line in my code.
Okay.
Add a new line at the time when new line will appear like a separate line between two. But I just want to print in the next line, not in the third line.
It's not. It's not very clear what you actually want to ask. You are saying you want to add a new line and then.
Can I can I share my code in the comment section?
Yeah, please.
Sir, here like you see the print new lines function.
Yeah, slash n, backslash n, yes.
It basically print the add the new line.
Yeah, backslash n,
New lines.
correct. Okay.
But I want to print the values of the flip matrix in a next line, not in the line after a line.
Yeah, so remove that backslash n then. See, when you write print after print, I think it will automatically go to the next line. If you write two separate prints, if you write print and in the brackets a comma b comma c, then there will not be any space, or then they will be in the same line. But if you write print after print, just check that once. I am not very sure, but if removing that new line, if that backslash n print backslash n, if that works. If it doesn't work, then I'll get back to you. Just check if that works. Okay. Sir, end keyword should be removed for that thing. Where is end?
I also share the. Can I share the result of this code in the?
Can we get just try removing that, and we'll figure this out in the next session. And yeah, okay. So one more thing, most of you may know already, but if you have any doubts which are not regarding the class, or any NPTEL related doubts, or some doubts that you don't get during the class but you can get later. So what you should do is you have two approaches. You keep it in your mind and wait for the class and ask me, or there is a forum. So that each course has a forum where you can discuss. So you can ask your question and some professional, and that can be me or some person who is handling the course. One of the TAs. They'll help you with it, and one co-participant can also help you. So please please actively use the forum. Okay, that's all I have to tell you. I think it is time now. So let's meet next week, and yeah, okay, bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.